right, so happy Monday, everyone. Great to be with you guys, as always. Last week was a powerful experience. So we're going to take a few minutes here at the beginning and just kind of recap from last week. So we'll open it up for a few shares on just what that experience was like for you. So if you would like to share, go ahead and just type the word share in the chat, and then let's get some energy. Let's co-create some energy here so we can move into an even more powerful experience today.
So whatever came up for somebody last week, it didn't have to be like something that made you feel great. You might have actually been a little bit scared, or might have like just sparked something for you. Whatever came up for you last week, if somebody wants to share.
Yeah, I'll go.
Thanks.
I'll kick it off. Yeah, it was a great reminder. I got to be honest, because I had remembered, I think I had shared, and I've got my little one running in the background, so I'm going to talk incognito. But I think I shared about an incident when he was 18 months old with his father, right? It was a great reminder leading into the rest of the week of just remembering how grace and dignity and you can rise above and really complete anything you set your mind to. It was just a nice reminder, like a nice, just like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember I worked through that when I thought it was nearly impossible, and it worked out better than I thought it ever would. So it was a great reminder, a great little kick in the ass.
So that's awesome. That's the reflecting, guys. She's reflecting on a moment that she witnessed an impossible moment. So if anybody remembers what happened with her last week, like that was a really big moment for her to be able to go get through that with grace. So that was seemingly an impossible moment until it was possible, right?
Yeah, it was. And it very much I mean, my mom can speak to it. She knows it was an impossible moment at that moment. She's, yes, the Mimi claws are coming out, but it was a very nice reminder to start my week and finish my week last week with that in the back of my head of, wow, you really can do anything. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the beauty about having a North Star to continue moving toward, is when we get clear on that impossible moment, that's when we do step into all possibilities. And for us, we can push ourselves at the level of which we are now, but it takes us to a whole new level when we step into new possibilities and we become a different version of ourselves that at one point was impossible. And so that's the whole idea behind Kaizen, is that constant, never-ending growth, that constant, never-ending improvement. So I love that. Thank you for that share. And then we'll open it up for one more. We've got Brian that has something to share.
Hey, thanks. I found it tough. I actually left after 40 minutes because it brought up something. It actually triggered something that came to a head later on in the week. I'm reading a book, How to Be Imperfect Instead of Perfect, and it triggered, writing it down forced me to confront what was going on, and the whole fact that, like this book was saying, when you set up perfect as average, then you can never ever be satisfied, because everything is always going to be one step short of where you need to be. And that's where I was. And so it caused me to step back and say, okay, let's take a look at what's really going on and break it down. And the challenge was starting to write it. You kind of write it and you can't get away from it. So, before it would have been, gosh, you suck, you didn't stay through the whole thing. Now it was, okay, fine, I made it 40 minutes, and then I just couldn't go. I mean, I broke down in tears, so I couldn't go anymore. But the fact that it got me thinking was able to get over that kind of impossible moment, or get through that and actually see what really was possible.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing that, man. Thank you for your vulnerability on that too. That's great. So you know, the work that we're doing here is getting clear on the impossible moment. And even if you don't have clarity on what your impossible moment is, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. If you do have clarity, that's great, and you're exactly where you are supposed to be. So just understand that this is a practice that we really want to honor. And the way to honor the impossible moment is to not manufacture it, not try to come up with the perfect, the perfect impossible moment, right? The impossible moment is only it's only available to us when we tune into the frequency of our impossible moment, meaning that we have to elevate ourselves, elevate our energy levels. And we're going to be doing some practices today that's going to make this meeting unlike any other meeting we've had. But it's really designed to be inviting of that impossible moment vision and allowing it to come to us versus us try to manufacture what that perfect impossible moment could be. So the impossible moment, even if it's not clear, again, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So let's just take a few minutes to co-create a conversation around what does the impossible moment mean for you? What do you guys think the impossible moment means? What is the impossible moment? Not the specific moment, but just the essence of the impossible moment. What is that to you?
Mm.
Well, I guess I'll go. I mean, I guess the impossible moment to me, like the feeling of it is just, freedom, of letting go of everything that's been holding me back and being where I want to be, reaching that impossible moment. It's just a feeling of achievement, but then just freedom. Freedom
Nice.
of all the things that have held me back in the past.
Yeah, so you're starting to get the essence of the impossible moment. And so, the feelings, usually that's the way that this journey will unfold is, and it happens differently for everybody, but most of the time when we receive the vision of that impossible moment, it starts off as like, what is the feeling that I want to have in the impossible moment, right? And so that's what, if you've been noticing the intentionality behind the journaling questions, it's all about the feeling. We're just tapping into like what it could feel like. And so we're going to continue that work today, but the feeling into the impossible moment and not knowing what it is, but just knowing the feeling that it gives, that's the first step in a really great direction. So what else does the impossible moment mean for you guys? And also maybe comment on like what's the importance of the impossible moment for you?
Oh, I think it's putting your money where your mouth is. You sure can speak a whole lot and have a whole lot of freaking opinions, but until your feet are put to the fire and you're tested, it's putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, it makes our potential more real.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a mindset for me. Feeling like Derek was saying, of freedom, of you're not being held back, and you can. It doesn't, if you gear towards like a work, type thing, it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like it's good. I worked every day last week, but it was fun. It didn't feel like work. In the past, I've been down and out, and it really feels good to have something to go after that you believe in. So it's kind of the feeling I get when I think about that cornerstone.
Awesome. Thanks for that share, man. So let's kind of just popcorn style, like get some shares on like what the impossible moment feels like. I know Derek shared a little bit about what his impossible moment is starting to feel like, but what is the name of some of the feelings that you would give to that impossible moment?
I would say it's like pure happiness and bliss, kind of, for me. Like I've reached my goal.
Awesome. Who else?
About
Ultimate satisfaction.
security.
All right. So Alex, you said ultimate satisfaction.
I would say ultimate satisfaction. Yeah.
Awesome. And then Kevin, what'd you say?
I said security.
Security.
Yep.
Certainty.
Yes.
Right? There's some certainty there. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling that as well. What comes up for me is purposeful. Something that's very purposeful.
Do you mean you're feeling moving through the impossible moment, or how you feel in the midst of the impossible moment?
Yeah, so when you're in that impossible moment,
I feel completely overwhelmed and paralyzed. Yep.
You sure? When like you're sitting there in the impossible moment, like
and I am paralyzed.
It's happening.
Yeah.
It's happened. And
I'm
you're paralyzed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now,
I'm absolutely hysterical. I am an anxious mess. I feel, Alex, we talked about it. I'm at the top of the roller coaster with that pit, and I feel paralyzed. Yep, I'm a big old baby.
Well,
and then I have no idea what lights under my ass, but it does, and I get through it.
Well, maybe the impossible moment could be that you're not feeling like that. Like that you have this moment, and that part of the impossible moment is that you're not anxious, that you're actually elated and excited.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Alex, because that's where we really want to challenge ourselves. Is in the impossible moment, it's if we're thinking about the impossible moment from the state of our current consciousness, then yes, we might respond in a way that is, I can hear a little bit of an echo. I don't know whose that is. We'll respond in a way that's from our current consciousness. And if our current consciousness is like, oh, if I was in that moment, I would be crying like a baby. Well, if that's actually already possible. So I would challenge you, Candace, to just be, and I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying if that's the place that you're coming from, right?
No, you hit it right on the nose.
Okay. So
but yeah, all right.
Does that help? That
totally helps.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you shared that, because that is what gives a little bit more texture to what this impossible moment is supposed to be. The impossible moment is not just a moment, it's also the version of you that creates that moment, right? So it's the impossible moment created by the impossible version of us. So the North Star isn't just the moment. The North Star is actually like who we have to become in order to create that impossible moment.
Yeah. And what comes up for me, Dean, just I would add to that, back to what Derek was bringing up, and kind of what you brought up about Canton, is part of it is letting go. It's only for me, when I get there, I will have had to have let go of a lot of things to get to that impossible moment. Not once I get to that impossible moment, then I can let go of those things. To Dean's point, I have to become someone different to realize the essence of that impossible moment. And that is letting go of a lot of things that I have going on right now with me, of who I think I am, the way I operate.
So are you talking about letting go of what you can't control?
Letting go of there's a lot of things. It's a big conversation. But
yeah, I think the essence of it is just letting go of the current consciousness, the current version, in spirit of stepping into a more empowered version that can create that impossible moment. So if there's a version of you that needs to let go of things you can't control, if that's what's necessary in order to create the impossible moment, then yes, that could be a version of that. Right? It doesn't necessarily have to be that, but if that's what's coming up for you personally, then yes, that could be a great awareness to have around how to create that impossible moment. So what we're gonna do next is Monique.
Actually, you guys answered my question. I'm good.
Okay, great. So we're going to step into a very exciting part of today's meeting here, and we're going to be using our bodies. And so What you'll probably need is you'll need some space around you. So I'm actually going to switch my my camera around so I have a little bit more space. And Alex, do you want to kind of prime us for what's going to happen next?
Yeah, so appreciate that, Dean. So again, Dean and I put these together, and there is a little bit of a method to all of this. And one of the things that we brought up that we didn't know when we were going to implement this is a breathwork piece. And so I wanted to prime the group with, if you guys have never done breathwork there's all kinds of different shapes and forms of breathwork. All right, Dean's about to do one that is a very, very powerful, like instantaneous breathwork. So when my personal journey really started hard, like probably about 15 years ago, I did some transmutational breath work, and it was really the beginning of my development, like really shifting. So this breath work that Dean's about to do right here is very powerful. So all I ask is to just get out of your head, and this is part of the thing of letting go. So if there's any thoughts of like, this is weird or whatever, just let it go. Let it go. And just go with this. We're in a safe container here. Just let it go and trust it. Okay.
Great. So this is a specific breath work that invites the energy of your vision. So I'm going to invite all of you to stand up. Make sure you have at least like, a few feet around you so that you don't bump into anything. And I'm going to go through what the breath work, how to actually do the breath work. So we're first going to start off with one hand on our heart and one hand on our belly. And we're going to start with just breathing deeply into our belly. So as I'm giving this instruction, just practice your breath going all the way down into the bottom of your belly where your bottom hand is. And once we do a few breaths there, then what we're going to do is we're going to open up our arms like this and just continue breathing in your belly. And you could just watch me while I do this. We're going to open up our arms and almost like as if the energy of our vision is available right outside of us, and we're just inviting the energy into us. So we're going to open up our arms like this, and then that's our in breath. So we're going to breathe in, and then when we breathe out, we're going to we're going to constrict every muscle in our body and go down. I don't know if you guys can see this, but so we're going to go. Oh. Okay. So when we do our out breath, imagine that you're taking all of that energy and you're squeezing it into a ball that's right here, and the intention and contraction of your muscles that you have in that out breath is going to be the degree of which you desire that vision to the energy of that vision to take hold of you, to really embody that energy. So we're going to do 14 of those. On the 14th, after we do our 14th out breath, we're going to come back to where we started. We're going to take one big breath in. We're going to, once we're at the top of our breath, we're going to swallow. And then we're going to breathe out as if we're breathing through a straw. So like that. All right, is everybody clear on the instruction?
So it's like going into a squat.
So we're gonna open up like with the in breath. So
Right.
we're gonna do 14 of those. Then we're gonna come back to where we started with our hand over our heart. And
Yeah, I
over
know.
our belly.
So when you go like this and go down, you're going down as you're forming into a squat.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, kind of like a crunch,
almost like a standing fetal position.
Okay.
Is probably the way that I would describe it.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? All right, so we're going to do this together. And go at your own pace if you want to go faster. Sometimes I actually like to speed up in the middle of it and then slow back down towards my 14th. But if you want to go a consistent pace, that's totally up to you. Just make sure you do 14 of them. And then when you come back, swallow, take one big breath, swallow, and then through a straw.
Is there any significance to the number 14?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So on your mark, get set, go. Just take a moment here to invite that energy that you're feeling through your body. Allow that to be the energy of your vision. And let's hold this energy through the rest of today's meeting. And so just feel every part of the air around you, every part of your body, feel your toes, feel your feet, feel your hands, feel your heart, feel the back of your neck, all the way up your spine. And let's continue this moment of presence through the rest of today's meeting. And let's hold this energy as it contains the energy of our impossible moment. So let's take a seat back down. Let's just take a moment just to enjoy this energy. And with one word, go ahead and type in the chat. If you could describe the way that you're feeling after doing that with one word, go ahead and type that into the chat. Great. So as you're sitting down, keep a strong spine, keep a present gaze, and keep this energy for the next 30 minutes as we go through the journaling questions. When you find yourself losing that energy, just remind yourself and just invite it back again. We've already done some work here to cultivate some of that energy. And so now we can call on it when we find we need it most. And by the way, this is a practice that you can use anytime. Like, what a great practice to do in between phone calls, or taking a 5-minute break just to do that. Imagine coming to the world in this energetic state. Whenever we're energy rich, we tend to make more abundant decisions. We tend to make better decisions versus if we're at a lower energetic state. And so just this practice of getting our energy up in our physical bodies are the antenna in which we receive the frequency of our vision, the frequency of everything that we desire. So now let's get started on continuing to crystallize this impossible moment. So everybody grab out your journals and something to write with. And with the energy continuing in our bodies and holding that energy, I'm going to put the first question here, and we're going to take about 5 to 7 minutes or so. and journal about this question. So why is getting clear on your impossible moment or your North Star important for you? So what's the reason why this work is important? What's the reason why for you that you know exactly what you're going towards?
It's been a while. Okay. Do you have Jeanette's number?
So we'll take 5 to 7 minutes and journal on that. right, so let's wrap that up. So I put something here in the chat I just want to share with you guys. As I was doing this exercise on my own, one of the things that came to me that was important about the impossible moment is that the purpose of the impossible moment, or the purpose of vision, is not to realize the vision. Even if it never happens, that's still okay. It's to come alive and show up to that possibility, and show up with the expectation of all possibilities that are in that frequency. And then also, you know, the reason why this is important to me is to hold my vision with belief, but without attachment. So I believe in my vision coming true, but I'm not attached to it looking exactly the way that I'm envisioning it. So let's open it up for 2, 3, maybe 4 shares of why is getting clear on your impossible moment, your North Star, your vision important for you. And if you would like to share, go ahead and just type the word share in the chat. Joey, did you want to share?
So I was just going to say it's important for me to be conscious about why you're feeling this way, because it's a reminder to not revert back to old feelings. And if that were to happen, if you were to revert back, you would already have this conscious way to pull yourself back out of that way of thinking again. And, you know, it's always going to happen with people. You know, you're going to have ups and downs, you know. So being able to, you know, call on that impossible moment that you had, just it's like a reassurance that, hey, you know, nothing is too big to pull yourself back out of. So that was always a thing for me, you know, being able to always looking for a catalyst, you know, the past couple of years to actually have one now, and notice that it wasn't really anything but myself that needed to pull myself out of this, you know, way of feeling. So that was kind of my my way of to consciously think about it and make sure you're clear on it. So if it does happen again, you kind of have a game plan structure to get yourself back in the right mental space.
Love it, man. Thank you for that share. Let's hear from Monique.
Hey, everybody. So I wasn't here last week. I was on vacation in Colorado, but I've pretty well picked up the thread of what happened last week. So building off of that, of course, for me, my impossible moment would have been 4 years ago when my sister took her life, and then 3 months later, my son passed away. So I think everybody can well imagine that's a pretty good punch in the gut. And my son passed away exactly a week before his twin sister's wedding. So we found out on a Monday that he passed at probably around, I don't know, noontime, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And at 3 o'clock that afternoon, I took my daughter, his twin sister, into my bedroom, shut the door, and I said to her, I'm going to ask you one question. I want a yes or no answer, and that's going to determine the rest of our week. She didn't understand where I was going with this, and I said to her, do you want to get married on Saturday? She immediately blurted out the answer yes, and sorry about my dog, and we prepared for the wedding because my son's passing wasn't going to change. But the joy of her planning that wedding, having family come, being with us, taking our mind off it, we went through that process. And by doing that and kind of continuing to move forward that way, I was able to teach my daughters, myself, my husband, my parents, my grandchildren, that big shit's gonna happen in life. Terrible, awful, mind-crushing experiences that you think are mind-crushing. And if you take a few hours and you wrap your head around what's the one question you want to ask, it can change the whole trajectory. And we didn't live in the sadness of my son dying at 30 years old. We've been living in the joy that we had him for 30 years. Would we have liked 30, 40, 50 more? Sure. But we got 30. So I just hope that everybody can see. And again, I wasn't here last week, so I hope I'm kind of speaking to what everybody was doing. You can get through the hard stuff. You can ask the tough questions. You can move forward. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that share. And yeah, it's just it's a wonderful example of when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, and anything's possible. And so reflecting on, that impossible moment becoming possible, also we can bring that into the future. And that's where we're going to kind of go through the rest of the meeting is how we can reflect on the impossible becoming possible, and knowing that there's something that we believe is impossible right now, that when we show up in that way is possible. So so thank you for bringing that in, Monique. Brian.
There we go. I really like the belief without attachment, because I think that helped define it. My response to this was the clarity on the North Star is important for me, because it gives me a reason to live. For the past 25 years, I lived according to somebody else's version or definition of what I should do. And really that was a surefire ticket to emptiness. I checked off all the boxes of success. I had all the things that everybody said were important, and I didn't really have anything, because in the bank of Brian, there was absolutely nothing. And so in forming this North Star, one of the challenges I've had, especially being perfectionist and obsessive compulsive and all that, is it has to be defined in the right way. And when you said that belief without attachment, it's not losing the vision, it's just being centered and sure that the vision's going to happen. It just may take a little bit of a turn differently than what was anticipated. And that's it. I mean, I was rocking and rolling. My life's taken a bunch of turns, and that bend in the road is still going. And the really cool thing is being able to look at that as a reward and not a challenge. There are ways I'm so glad my train derailed, because I sure wouldn't have seen the countryside if I was on just the bullet train. And so that's, I had to get out and walk a little bit and stumble, and that was what was really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, the journey is the destination. So I love that. All right, let's move on to our next question.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm having a little bit of issue with my internet, so I went on my phone. So see if it helped a little bit. I don't know if it's my laptop or what, but.
All right. Well, we will work with it.
Okay.
Hopefully you could see my screen here.
I could see it.
Okay, perfect.
It's smaller, but I could see.
Okay, great. So here's the next question that we're going to spend a few minutes on. And this is where we want to crystallize the feeling. This is, I believe that the feelings that we have, our feelings have a frequency to them. That's what determines our frequency. And Tony Robbins says this best. He says that the quality of our life is based on the quality of our emotions. If we're feeling shitty throughout our entire life, we have a shitty life, right? To Brian's point. And if we're feeling amazing and abundant, right, we have an amazing and an abundant life. Doesn't matter what the outside looks like. It only matters what the inside feels like. And so this is where we want to tap into the feeling of that impossible moment. So the question is, what would it feel like to bring this impossible moment into reality for you? And again, even if the impossible moment isn't crystallized for you, and frankly, it probably won't be for almost all of us. So this is a process that we want to continue inviting the clarity of this vision, but it's only when we tap into the frequency of the emotions that this vision and this impossible moment can create. So what would it feel like to bring this impossible moment into reality for you? What would it feel like to bring this impossible moment into reality for your life and your business? So let's just take a few minutes to journal on that, and then we'll come back with a few shares. And let's open it up for a few shares. So if you have something to share, go ahead and type the word share. And I'll just invite, we only have time for 2 or 3, but let's just invite this feeling. And as we are just taking the energy from our breath work practice and into this moment, make sure you're still holding that energy in a powerful way. So if you feel yourself kind of like slouching or whatever, get back into a powerful posture and just invite that energy of the vision, because this is a really important question and important reflection for the clarity of our impossible moment. So what would it feel like to bring this impossible moment into reality for you, your life, and your business? So if you'd like to go ahead and share, just type the word share. Candace.
For me, it's pretty simple. I feel like I've truly adulted, for lack of a better term. Yeah. That it's no longer words and thoughts, but just action. Adulting at my highest level.
I'm just curious, what does it mean to be an adult to you?
Well, I thought it meant financial security and a husband and children and a nice home and, you know, a solid group of good friends. I thought that's what it meant, but I have all that and I'm still not satisfied. So I think for me, and I'm still gnawing on it, it's acceptance that it's enough and enjoying what I have, that I set the bar and well, I've reached it. So let's just enjoy it now and be appreciative and thankful and, you know, be present, be truly present, and not, well, when I can, when we move, when we get a bigger house, when we get a new car, no, like I have. So for me, it's about stopping with the tangible things and bringing it more in internal.
Yeah, I love that. Gratitude, presence. Those are two words that popped out to me in your share. And those are two really powerful parts of your impossible moment. So that's great. All right. Who else? And maybe your impossible moment is to share. Derek.
All right. And I guess since this is all about being uncomfortable, you know, what did it feel like to me? You know, to have all that in, you know, life and business is, like I had mentioned earlier, freedom and a, you know, feeling of bliss and achievement with that. But as I was trying to go through those feelings of what it would feel like, the things that I've been holding back and trying to let go of, like instantly, like overwhelm my brain of the fear and the anger and the impossible, you know, making that the impossible moment feel impossible. You know, even though I'm going towards and trying to move forward and all, and I know what it kind of feels like, but all of that stuff from the past is just kind of, you know, swept in at the same time of me trying to, you know, imagine what that would feel like.
Awesome, brother. We have time for one more quick share.
So, Dean, if it's okay, I'll just give a quick little expansion. So if you think that your impossible moment has come and gone, there's always going to be another one. So the sooner that you can embrace, give in, give up to a higher purpose, to evolving, to paying attention to the questions in your head, the easier those impossible moments are to achieve and to move through. I thought my sister's passing would have been the most impossible moment, having a sister take her life. No. Because 3 months later, there was my son. So, you know, and it doesn't mean that that's it. I hopefully have 40 more years left on this earth. I'm going to assume a few more are going to come my way. So being part of this group and learning this process is enormous.
I love it. Thank you, Monique.
Yeah.
Yeah. The right now, as we're tuning into our energy of the impossible moment that's available for us, and again, if you think if your impossible moment is a moment that's already possible, it's not impossible enough, right? You've got to be thinking like really impossible. So, and I go back to the Elon Musk analogy that we did last week, where it's like Elon Musk really believes that it's possible. And so for him, getting to Mars isn't the impossible moment anymore. it's becoming a total interplanetary species. And so I just want to bring that in. And then Alex, you want to wrap us up here with the last question? This, by the way, is the most important question. You're muted, brother.
Thank you. This is definitely the most important question, guys. So describe the version of you that can turn the impossible into possible. How would that you view the world? What are your habits, your thoughts, and your perspectives that contribute to that? So we're talking about the you that is embodying being at that impossible moment. That is not you right now. So again, how would you view the world? What would your habits be, your thoughts and your perspectives that are in alignment with that person that you need to become to embody that impossible moment? Journal music, please. Thank you.
right, so we'll go ahead and stop there, just in spirit of time. Want to definitely make sure we get some shares. And this question, by the way, continue reflecting on this as you do this work, because the more you put into this, the more you get out of it. So if it's okay with everybody, I'd like to share mine first.
Yeah.
So who I have to become, this is the impossible moment that's created by this version of me. A practiced and awakened heart, that energy comes through me and people feel what is possible just by being in my field. Inner knowingness and trust within myself, fostering authentic connection wherever I go and whomever I touch.
Nice. So real quick, I said the version of me that I need to become, the paramount thing I would say is one of little ego. And when I say the one of little ego, what I mean by that is that I believe that there's a lot of things that I'm going to have to let go of that I believe. And so those are parts of my ego. Those are thoughts and old beliefs that I have. So I believe that there's going to have to be little ego there to get to that impossible moment that I do have envisioned.
So my best version is one that views the world with positivity, and not any more negative or pessimistic feelings of doubt or fear for what the future holds. And my habits have changed. I'm healthier, I have more drive, I treat people better now because of it, and I listen more with enthusiasm instead of just listening to be present, but actually with enthusiasm. So now, view of myself and how I treat myself is also dictating how I treat the world and others as well.
Really nice. Dean still on here?
Yeah.
I lost you on my screen, pal. Anybody else have another share? I'm still energized from that breath work. I love that, man.
Yeah, what did you guys think of that?
It's like, reminds me of, some people say that you get like, when you do in the bag, when you but this is actually, when you do real good breath work, it actually hyper oxygenates your blood, so pumps more oxygen, and that's that energy feeling is like you're actually like high from oxygen. And there's a lot of there's belief in that oxygen transfers information, and it also vibrates your cells. So you actually, if you believe that there's cellular memory, you can actually shake a cell and get the old memories out of the information out of that cell, and then the oxygenation can actually implant a new belief into your cells. Getting a little woo-woo with you guys, but this stuff is legit. So if nothing less, I felt energized from the breath work.
Yeah, to that point, a lot of people have like past life regression experiences just by doing breath work. So, okay, well, if that feels complete for you, that certainly feels complete for me, unless there's anything that that you guys want to share to close this out. If that's the case, you could just type share, but if not, we can close this container out. And this is work that I'll just invite you guys that if if the only time that you look at this and ponder these things is inside this container, this 1 hour a week that we have together, you are doing so much more than almost anybody else on this planet when it comes to the work, the inner work, awakening ourselves to true possibilities. And I'll just invite you that, you know, it doesn't just have to be 1 hour a week. This could be a practice that you do every single day. And even if it's just 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And I'll just invite you to just, if where you're at is you spend 1 hour a week in this container, I'll invite you to take this practice outside of this dojo and bring it into the real world some way, shape, or form. Bring it into your morning routine, bring it into your evening routine, you know, bring it into your lunch break, you know, whatever, wherever you can create some space to keep yourself inspired and keep yourself continuing to invite the vision of your impossible moment. That's only going to, that's going to be the gift that keeps giving. And so, so I'll just end with that. And Alex, if you have anything that you'd like to end with before our next week, where we really start to crystallize, then it's all yours, brother.
I think that was a great point, Dean. For all you guys that are in here, that if you're not doing any of this outside of here, know that what you're doing in here really matters, and you're doing more than most, than 99%. So yeah, if you can, and again, letting go is maybe when you get out, is that you do a little bit of this work outside of this. So that might be letting go of the way that you have been before, so that you can be something new. So appreciate you guys.
Much love, everyone. Have an amazing Monday.